Hello and welcome to episode 22 of the Aspiring Kryptonians podcast with me, Tasmin, and the rest of the team, Evan and Ashley.
Hello.
So this episode is dedicated to last night's DC extravaganza, DC FanDome. So for those tuning in live, hello, and feel free to throw us any questions that you have for us about DC FanDome, and just feel free to get involved in the conversation in general. Well, I know that you guys tuned in because we were kind of messaging throughout it, but what do you think of it overall?
I think this is a really cool way to do this. I think it's a lot more convenient. It's cheaper. It's it's a lot more inclusive for everybody who can't make it out to DC or to San Diego. So I'm all for this. I mean, I hope they keep this up in some fashion or another, even if they do go back to doing the big live shows.
Yeah. How about you, Ashley?
Yeah, I love it. I love the way that it's kind of it's done. Tasmin, coming from England, you know all about things like Red Nose Day and sort of comic relief, stuff like that, where they kind of do a whole night worth of stuff of content. This is our Red Nose Day. This is our children in need kind of thing, and I love that kind of way that they present it. An all night thing.
DC fans in need.
Exactly. Like get get pull up some friends, get on the sofa. Get all your snacks together and you spend the night indulging and going for it.
Yeah, I loved it too. It's a great idea, like you said, Evan, because a lot of people can't make it out to San Diego. It's really hard to be able to get tickets for that for starters. And if you live nearby in America, it's not so bad. But when I went, I spent thousands getting there and back, and it's just insane. So yeah, it's definitely more inclusive, and I think they should do this as well as the whole sort of Hall H experience, because obviously people there can experience it in person and then we can experience it firsthand rather than having to wait I think you have to wait a few hours before the trailers release online after Hall H or something like that. So yeah, it's just a good idea to get everyone involved together.
Yeah, and plus the fact with like comic conventions and whatnot, I don't know how you guys feel about them, but they're like more anxiety fueled for me, like the anxiety of getting my ticket, arriving on time, being one of the first so I can meet that creator without a long, massive queue and things like that. So this is perfect, You don't even have to move off your couch. You've still got a brew in hand and you can enjoy yourself. It's less stressful, I find.
Yeah, I've been stressing about getting my tickets for MCM. Well, I've got the tickets for MCM, but I need to book my train tickets. And I'm like, which time do I do? Because for me to get there in time for the show opening, which is at 10 o'clock, my train has to be at 5:30 in the morning. So I'm debating whether to be a little bit late or whether to put in the work and get there.
Exactly.
I really tried to find somebody to watch this with me, like live in person on my sofa, and I couldn't find anybody. Nobody is at the level of nerd that they need to be to make this a day. Yeah.
Well, I was watching with Cal and then he fell asleep halfway through, so he wasn't too amused. Shame on him. There were a few things lacking though. So there was a lack of comics for me. There wasn't hardly. They kind of mentioned Action Comics, but it was what we already knew. But I didn't think it was as good as last year. I liked the split of how they did it. So all the big films had the Saturday, and then all the sort of smaller TV shows and all the comic stuff had their own day the next day where you could just watch it as and when you wanted. I think each segment was a little bit short, so I was expecting a little bit more on each, especially the big films like Black Adam. I was expecting like a full picture of the suit reveal, that kind of thing. Or at least some more of the cast to kind of join in and talk about it rather than it be more of the pre-recorded stuff, which they had, which was really good. The content was really good, but I think it would have been a little bit better if they each had a panel where they were all talking about the film together, like they did for the Batman. And obviously we had no Superman film news, which is the worst of all.
Yeah, I think like we mentioned it last episode, I thought this was going to be the year, and it just feels like as the years go by, with no kind of word on it at all, I'm losing a bit of hope, to be fair. I did notice online The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, replied to a fan talking about who's going to be sort of like his greatest nemesis or how he would approach attacking Superman, and he kind of reeled off all this kind of information, which was kind of interesting. And I do believe that was probably the only snippet of Superman we got, and that wasn't even on the FanDome event. It was an exchange over social media sometime later. So
yeah, I saw that as well. But I mean, it depends. It could be a tease for what's to come from the film, I suppose. But also, he could just know that about Superman because obviously we know kryptonite. Like I think he mentioned kryptonite and he mentioned magic, and I think it's not that uncommon for people to know that, especially if they're going to be in the DC film universe. They probably need to scrub up a little bit. So hopefully, it's a hint because I would like to see Henry Cavill's Superman take on Black Adam. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it needs to happen. I mean, I know everyone's building up to sort of like Black Adam and Shazam sort of throwing down, but you need someone else, either like a warm-up match or someone, waiting in the wings to take the crown. It can't just be like a one and done kind of bout. You need someone to be stepping up and waiting in the wings next. Superman's perfect. A Superman Black Adam throwdown. I think that's what everyone needs in their life.
Definitely.
Probably.
David Beasley. Probably
he's one of
less
that.
Unintentionally info.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's probably less unintentional info leaking this way. So, that's a big surprise. That'd be great. I'd love to be sitting in the cinema and just like jumping out of my seat, seeing Henry Cavill appear.
Yeah, it'd be a good surprise.
All these films. Yeah.
But also, just shout out to David Beasley because he is one of the members of the House of L from our Patreon. So,
Woo-hoo!
Hey, Dave. Speaking of Black Adam, we'll start with that one then, seeing as we've kind of already gone into it a little bit. So we got the first snippet of the costumes of Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher. I think they all look great so far. There's a lot. I like all they've kept with the detail because, like, in the Man of Steel costume, you've got all the sort of Kryptonian symbols. They've kind of kept that level of detail, which I like. So I'm assuming it's the same costume designer, which is I think Michael Wilkinson or Williamson or something like that. I cannot remember. But yeah, I think they look good, and I can't wait to see more of their costumes. What did you think?
Oh, it just looks great. I mean, I'm all for. Well, coming from like a wrestling kind of background, I'm a huge fan of wrestling, and I've watched The Rock for years on the WWE. I know how built he is, and he's only got more stacked as time's progressed. I watch a lot of his training videos for getting into shape for roles, and he is hench. He is a big guy, and this suit looks like a thin little layer of fabric over that sculpt physique, to be fair. It looks great. No padding needed. He looks like he's going to wreck fools.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely didn't need to do any training for this film, but I know he did, so fair play to him. But,
I forgot that Pierce Brosnan was going to be Dr. Fate.
Yes.
That's very cool. Great casting. And I love the way how he was talking about, I've done tons of James Bond stuff and nothing's as big as what we're doing in this movie. So that's pretty cool. High praise.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, like I said, I thought we were going to get a full reveal of the Rock's suit because I know there was an image that leaked online like a day or a few days before DC FanDome. So I thought they were kind of going to address that and make it official. I don't know if you've seen that full leak, but it looks great. And even in the pictures that we're showing you now on the screen from the actual teaser that we got, I think it looks great. There's a lot of detail in it again. It looks very, I know obviously he's kind of part of the Shazam family, I guess, or that era, that kind of those characters. But it just looks so different to what they've got.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just like the efficiency of the way he moves. He kills that guy, just by like literally just picking him up, choking him, and then just the electricity going through his body, shorting him out. That was brutal. Raising up off the ground. He looks to me like he's very efficient with these powers. He's had them for a long time. He knows the best ways to use them. He's not going to go out of his way. He's not going to showboat. He's not going to stand on ceremony. He's just going to use the most efficient and effective way to kill people. And that really came across in this trailer. I said straight away, this looks like a dangerous dude.
It's a lot darker than I thought it was going to be from that scene. I don't know what I was expecting, really, because I know Black Adam's kind of a villain. But yeah, it's very dark. So he literally electrocutes him to dust, which was just insane.
That's tame to what he does to people in the comic books. So I'm very interested to see if they do the full comic book thing, because that's some R-rated stuff.
They haven't actually announced what rating this has got yet, have they? I don't think they have. So it could be very R-rated. Well, I don't know what R-rated is in America, but it could be an 18 here.
Well, it's like Mortal Kombat finisher move sort of stuff that
Nice.
he's doing in the comic books.
Hopefully we get.
Well, yeah, I mean, I read DC Deceased at World's End, and the way he clears up his home territory, you know, he clears it up in seconds. So there's definitely some efficiency in the way that he does things and goes about it. I really hope they do lean towards some of the more like Egyptian kind of mythology that is associated with the character, because obviously the archaeologist at the beginning, she's kind of reading like some glyphs on the floor, and she obviously says Shazam, that which is she kind of beckons him, maybe, or I wasn't sure how that worked. How did you guys think that worked? Because you had the crown as well, kind of suspended.
I thought the same. It's kind of like the whole mummy sort of thing, isn't it? She's going in exploring. She's found something, and she's testing it out. And obviously, Black Adam is what comes of it. And I don't know whether that's what she was expecting, but I don't know. I always thought it was weird as well that does Black Adam shout Shazam and then turn into a boy? Does he?
No. He's a skinny, like, weakling person from ancient Egypt. He was the very first person Shazam chose to inherit the power, and once he turned it on, he's never turned it off. He's never reverted back to his normal self. And so, like, in some iterations, they get him to say Shazam, and he turns back to himself, but then he ages thousands of years, you know, because he's been in his immortal form this whole time, and he dies. So sometimes that happens. Sometimes he just reverts to his regular skinny guy. Like one time, Shazam or Captain Marvel used his magic to change the secret word, and so Black Adam just went around saying every single word like he knew, and trying to figure out what the new secret word was to change back to become Black Adam again.
Maybe we'll see that, but that's gonna take some CGI to sort of get The Rock to look skinny and weedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's where all the budget's gone, I bet.
It's actually really good. A few years ago, I think it was during the New 52, I'm not sure. There was a really good Villains Month issue that highlighted his origin. So if people want to go back and take a look at that, it's like a singular issue. I think it's one of the lenticular covers. Highly recommend it. It's a really good origin.
And yes, I'm sorry, I do not know how to pronounce the name, but I'm going to say Phi. Hopefully we do get a cameo of Superman in that film, because I would love to see them throw it down like The Rock said in his tweet. I think they're the ones that are matched close enough, but he says that Superman hasn't got the will to kill, isn't it? It's something like that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't kill him. But yeah, hopefully.
Technically, we did get a Superman cameo in the Shazam movie, so maybe they'll carry that forward and make it better.
A different tone, though.
And plus the fact, if you want to talk about money, what's going to bring more money in than Adam versus Superman?
Yeah,
that's money right there. I mean, if you can market that just right, you know, a la Godzilla versus Kong, you know, just strip it back, those two fighting, that's money in my opinion.
Well, I'd pay to see it.
Yeah,
but the Shazam kids must be shaking in their boots, because there is no way. I'm sorry, there's no way. It's like, this is like the Tom Holland Spider-Man versus Venom. There is no way they could take each other down. Well, I think Black Adam would take a lot of them down in one quick swoop. Like they're very, like, the kids. They're very naive. They're still sort of new to all of their powers, and I don't think they stand a chance. Not yet. And hey, Thomas Wagner. He's helped me get a lot of Superman collectibles in the past, so thank you. And
awesome. Bring
definitely
on Black Adam. Well, plus the fact, I mean, like, you know, Dwayne and Henry, they're good friends by the looks of it. You know, there's been like multiple posts of them two together, probably like hanging out, training as well. You know, I can't see why The Rock can't just sort of use his sway. He must have some sway now at the Warner Brothers to be able to say, you know, I only want to work with Henry, or Henry's pumped, he's ready to go, he's jacked. Why not? You know, there's no time to waste.
That's it. Well, Black Adam releases on the 29th of July 2022, so I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But
All
it
right.
seems so far away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Moving on to Aquaman. So, yeah, this one looks great so far. I think this one was hard to judge because it's a lot of behind the scenes sort of stuff rather than finished footage, and we got a lot of concept art and stuff. But from what we did see, I think it looked very good. We got a look at Black Manta's new suit, another look at Mera and Orm. There's a lot of uproar about Amber Heard returning because obviously the whole Johnny Depp thing where he got fired from, I think it was the Harry Potter film. Yeah, that's it. And she's carrying on with Aquaman, even though they're both sort of managed by Warner Brothers, and one got fired and one didn't, even though we don't really know the circumstances. But yeah, there's a lot of toxic stuff online about Amber Heard regarding all of that. But we've already seen Aquaman's new suits, which we know they look great, so we sort of know what to expect there. But I don't know, I was just expecting more. I was expecting to see more. It was just, I don't know. I think this is the same for all of them.
Yeah, that's the constant theme in this DC fandom. I wanted to see more. So hopefully next year there'll be a lot more to showcase. Yeah.
James Wan sort of made a big thing of saying that they're going to top the first film, which that's DC's biggest earner in terms of films. I think it was $1 billion or over $1 billion it made or something like that.
Well over $1 billion.
But and they keep mentioning that, and I think it was Peter Safran, who's the producer, he was talking about it as well. But I just really hope they don't let that go to their heads and think that they can get away with stuff. I don't know, because he said there's going to be more action, which I'm all for. He said it was going to be more fun, which I think the fun parts of Aquaman, the first one, were the bits that I didn't particularly like.
Aww.
So it was like the music choices when they're walking through the desert, which was like Toto Africa. I was like, what is happening? And then
you're not even the old version.
Yeah, it was Pitbull, I think it is, isn't it? His version. And then when they go, I think they go to an Italian city. I can't remember the name of it. And it's all sort of Little Mermaid, and she's eating the flowers, and she doesn't know what's what. And I don't know. That bit just didn't stick for me. But the rest of it was great.
I love that stuff.
But I hope there's more action, less of that, and yeah, it's going to be good anyway. I mean, I like Aquaman, and Jason Momoa is amazing. So I think, yeah. Oh, did you see the Aquaman concept art of him riding the seahorse?
No.
It literally flashed on the screen for like a second, and I was like, whoa. But they didn't really. They literally teased that, and then they showed footage of him on. It looked like a robotic sort of thing, which I'm assuming they're going to CGI into the seahorse. But yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Faye is back. I think the estimated time of Aquaman, the Lost Kingdom, might be more than 2 hours. I assume that's saying. I agree. I agree totally. I think all these movies seem to be going in that direction now. I mean, I heard a rumor the other day that the Batman's going to be over 3 hours.
Wow.
Maybe 3 hours, tipping maybe more than that. So it's definitely the way these epics are going at the moment.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, agreed.
You might as well tell a sweeping epic with these characters. If you're going to spend the money in the first place, make it worth it. Yeah.
And we kind of saw firsthand with Justice League about how much damage cutting bits out can do to a film. So I'm all for the longer version.
Yeah.
Before we move on, what did you guys think of the animated Aquaman thing coming to HBO?
It's not for me. It's not for me. I think it's for the younger audiences, but I think that's probably one that I probably won't go out of my way to watch at the moment. The song was really annoying. That's like my kind of hell for me. I don't like things like that where it's all like singing and dancing and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. We'll see.
I watched the first 5 minutes of it. They released the first 5 minutes on YouTube that you can watch, and it's just very like leaning into Adventure Time sort of.
Okay.
Like it's like full tilt. Like a lot of cartoons today, they take inspiration from that and they use some elements from that, but it's like It's Adventure Time on steroids. I'm probably gonna watch it. I'm probably gonna watch it just to see what it's like. The parts that I watched so far were funny, even though it's not my Aquaman, or anything like that. But I'll probably check it out.
Well, we have a long wait for the film. So when's the animated version out?
I don't know. The first episode might be out already.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at least we've got that. Well, Aquaman fans have got that to tie them over until the release date for the Lost. It is the Lost Kingdom, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
David Beasley is back. We can thank Avengers Endgame for establishing these longer run times. Avengers Endgame was very long.
It was, but it was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
and no stone
Aquaman's out.
as well.
Let's finish Aquaman and then we'll move on to we'll talk about Endgame a little bit. So Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom is out on the 16th of December 2022. But yeah, I agree with you on Endgame. I think actually I preferred Infinity War to Endgame.
Oh, agreed. I wasn't a massive fan of Endgame, to be fair. I haven't actually seen it since the cinema.
Oh.
So I wasn't that mad on it. But then having said that, the runtime I thought was perfect for it. When I did go to the cinema and see it, it felt completely perfectly weighted, very evened out. And like I said, no stone was left unturned. Everything that needed to be flushed out was, and it had time to breathe. And kudos to the directors for being brave enough to make something that long.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, seeing as this is DC FanDome, not Marvel FanDome, we'll talk about DC's League of Super Pets. So we saw some new footage showing Krypto and Ace the Bat Hound. Yes, it's very Pixar. We already knew that because we saw the snippet. I think they showed a very sneak peek last year at DC FanDome, just sort of announcing the film. But yeah, I can't wait for this. I think even though it's for kids, this is right up my street. I love all the sort of films like Secret Life of Pets, Despicable Me, that kind of thing. And I think this is going to sort of go down that route. And I think it's going to be popular with a lot of kids, which might cause, we might get an influx of DC Super Pets now. There could be loads of these films. There could be spin-offs. There's obviously going to be merchandise and whatnot. And yeah, I'm excited.
Do you know what? I wasn't really that pumped for this film or the announcement. I was happily going to go and make a cup of tea when this was on. But my goodness, this was one of the highlights of FanDome for me. This looked brilliant. The Rock and Kevin Hart, are you kidding? Did I see on the cast list as well Keanu Reeves maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a huge cast.
This was so funny. And The Rock and Kevin Hart to me are like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds now. They've been together a couple of times, I believe. I know they were in Hobbs and Shaw together. They were in Central Intelligence. Yeah, but they are on point with their comedy and their timing together. And this looked fun. It was funny. I was laughing. And bring it on.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited to see more. And it's, like you said, it's very, very Disney, the animation style, and which is just absolutely perfect for a talking animal movie. So.
Yeah. I was hoping for an official trailer, though, from DC FanDome, but I think they confirmed that was coming in November sometime. So we don't have too long to wait, but I would have liked to see a full trailer at DC FanDome. But yeah, what we did see was great, and it's set to release on the 20th of May, 2022. But not only did we...
Sorry, I was going to ask, the cape thing, is that canon? What Krypto does with the cape? Because it's not in his collar, and the cape, he taps his collar, and the cape just kind of billows out.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's
I love that.
It's in the animated. There was a TV show. It was when I was at school. It was called Krypto the Super Dog. It was like an animated program, and it does it in there. I'm pretty sure. Okay. But maybe that's.
I just remember
the inspiration from.
The only episode I really remember from that was where there's a flea from Krypton. A flea has traveled. It's traveled with him on the spaceship, and now it's a super flea, and they have to try to destroy it. It was great.
Definitely an improvement from Smallville's Krypto version. Is Krypto in Smallville?
I don't remember. I know Shelby's in Smallville.
There's the dog. Oh no, because I guess Shelby is that version of Krypto, right? Or their version of Krypto, because he's got superpowers, or he had superpowers at some point. yeah, I love Krypto getting more attention as well. I love Krypto the super dog, as I keep mentioning in all of, I think every episode so far of the podcast I've mentioned it. But I love dogs. I love Krypto. It's just a crazy idea, which I think, kids would love it. And I'm so surprised that he's not already as popular as he's going to be. So I'm hoping that this sort of pushes all of that. And hello, Connor Super. Greetings, Kryptonians.
Greetings back.
But also, not only did we get the footage from the film, we also got a bit of footage from a newly announced game. So I think a lot of people missed this because it was on the kids' DC FanDome, which was an hour before the sort of main event. And I thought they were going to announce it again a little bit later on when they talked about the film, but they didn't. So this is going to be called DC League of Super Pets, The Adventures of Krypto and Ace. So it's from Outright Comics and Warner Brothers, of course. And players can suit up as the super dogs and soar through the streets of Metropolis. So that was pretty much all the information that we got from it. We have no release date at the moment. But there was a bit of there was a teaser trailer, and it does look pretty good actually. And I think it's one of those things where kids can happily sit and play it all day, but I think sort of adults would probably enjoy playing it as well. I'm definitely going to get it when it comes out. So, but I think it's just a great idea to tie the film in with a game. This is what I mean when it's going to be all like. I think these characters are going to be a lot more popular than what they are now when this film comes out, because there's going to be merchandise. I wouldn't be surprised if they did a comic series for younger audiences too with this version, these versions of the characters as well. And I hope they bring more super pets into the mix and not just those two.
And plus the fact of The Rock as well. I mean, once again, The Rock can pretty much do whatever he wants. And I think this thing is going to get marketed to the moon, and I hope it does land like a Pixar movie does. Like you made a great point, Evan, about it having the feel of like a Disney kind of Pixar movie. Why not? And with The Rock and this stellar voice cast, I hope it goes straight to the moon, because this trailer got me excited, or this snippet.
Yeah, same.
One last thing I want to say, I only hope it's better than the most recent Scooby-Doo movie, which was done by Warner Brothers.
Oh yeah, Scoob. Yeah, that was a bit rubbish.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't go down that road, because that was terrible. Didn't they mix it with so it was Scooby-Doo, but then the villains were from the Wacky Racers. Yeah,
they tried to establish a Hanna-Barbera universe.
I see.
So we'll see if that goes anywhere, because I mean, Johnny Quest, that could be a cool movie, but I don't know if you need to tie it in with Scooby-Doo.
Scoob.
Yeah.
I am a sucker for Muttley though, because my mum used to say that I laugh like him. Like when I really laugh, I have there's no noise. It's just like, and my mum used to call me Muttley when I was younger. So I like Muttley. Moving on. So another game. So Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. So there's I had a lot of comments when I posted the Superman images of this, because obviously people are sick of the evil Superman thing. But I think this one is slightly different, because it's not just Superman that's gone evil. It's the whole of the Justice League, I'm assuming from the footage. But so we got new footage from the game, and it gave us some more footage of Superman, the rest of the Justice League, and Brainiac as well, or the ship.
Yeah.
We also, they kind of told us the storyline within the game. So he's the official writer from Warner Brothers. So it sheds light on the origins of Amanda Waller's infamous Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad, as Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark grudgingly embark on their mission to take down the world's greatest DC superheroes, the Justice League. So featuring an original narrative set within the expansive open world of Metropolis, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League puts the 4 DC supervillains on a collision course with an invading alien force, which is Brainiac, and DC superheroes who are now laser focused on destroying the city that they once vowed to protect. All the while, the squad must be mindful of their lethal explosives implanted in their heads that could go off at the first sign of defiance. So I think it looks great. I think the game, the trailer for the game was amazing. It was really funny. The Suicide, I think it's Boomerang, isn't it? The Australian one. He had me in stitches. Like he was so funny.
I thought he was Jai Courtney's voice as well. Playing him.
I'm not sure the the voice cast.
It sounded so much like him. I mean, I'm pretty sure it probably may not be him, but the voice cast. I know Samoa Joe, the wrestler, is voicing King Shark, if that is King Shark. Because I know there's a few kind of characters now floating around looking like that.
That is King Shark.
Yeah, he looks great. The whole cast looks great.
Yeah. So this isn't. I'm okay with this because this isn't evil Superman. It's brainwashed Superman.
There's a difference.
Slightly different.
There is a difference. Evil Superman has decided to make these terrible decisions. Brainwashed Superman, that's a different story.
And they're kind of giving you a hint as to why they're brainwashed, because obviously I'm assuming it's got something to do with Brainiac.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And Brainiac's ship looks great. It looks so good.
Cool. Yeah, that scene where Superman is kind of maneuvering one of the tentacles in line with the squad just looks epic.
And in that picture you're showing there, look at the detail on the suit.
Yeah.
Look at the crest.
And he kind of looks like Dean Cain.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, he does.
But there he looks like John Cena.
So I did love this little detail on the Flash where he's got goggles on his helmet.
Yeah.
Which just makes so much sense because he's, the wind is flying in his face at all times. Love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of banter between all the characters, which I think just looks like it's going to be fun. But the thing I hate about game trailers is that when you play it, it's actually never really anything like it. Don't you think?
No, because like with this kind of stuff, it's all cutscenes, right? So it's not. These will be like video story segments, and then of course you'll have more, dialogue and interaction during the actual gameplay. And so, but like, have you guys played the Arkham games?
Yes.
Because they're fantastic, and these are the same people, so they have earned my unequivocal trust in their ability to make video games, and especially about DC characters. So I think this is going to be fantastic. It'll be very interesting to see if Batman shows up in this, because it's supposedly set in the same universe. So we'll see.
Yeah, he wasn't in the game trailer, was he? I don't remember seeing him.
That's because
I think we saw every other member. Go on.
The reason he's not in the trailer is because spoilers.
Oh, okay.
I must have watched too much FanDome, but what wasn't there something whereby there was a Batmobile with the bat signal strapped to the front of it? What was that from?
Yeah, that is a good question. Was that from Gotham Knights?
No, possibly.
Yeah, possibly. Connor Super One says, "Seeing Flash, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman got me even more excited for this." Oh, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, because I
seeing
think
John Stewart walking down with the steps just appearing before him, that was so. Because obviously in the comics recently, John Stewart has been the leader of the Corps, and just seeing that kind of, it added a sense of majesty to the character, because he does deserve it. He's been around for a long old time. He's been there, done that, and just to see him, I thought he looked great. I got goosebumps actually talking about it.
Yeah, and I think in the first, I don't know if it was a trailer, but the first sort of footage we got of the film, they only showed Superman, didn't they? They didn't show any of the rest of the Justice League. Yeah. So I think it was a good play to sort of save them for this, because it added a sense of sort of shock and excitement. But I think a lot of people just thought it was going to be just evil Superman that they were taking on, and I think that's why a lot of people were sort of, when I've shared any news about the game, a lot of people have been like, "Oh, evil Superman again," blah blah blah, which I understand, but showing the rest of the league sort of show that it's not just him, it's all of them, and this kind of gave it a bit of context, because he's like Evan said, he's not evil, he's brainwashed, which is different.
Yes,
but also the same.
One thing I did like about this was that Deadshot is back, and I kind of like that they keep the squad is interchangeable and you can switch it out a bit, because obviously in the movie that we've all just seen, Boomer isn't in it very much, Deadshot's not in it at all, and now they're back in this, which is a pretty big sort of banner for the Suicide Squad brand in general. So I like that, for perhaps the more casual viewers or the more casual fans, they are really showing that the squad is interchangeable. It's very
Well, I
much
mean,
like picking your characters in a game. This
Yeah.
squad today is going to be this roster. Maybe the next mission it's going to be this roster. So I like the fact they're not setting the roster in stone.
but I suppose with the Suicide Squad, you can't really set it in stone because they've got explosives in their head, and I mean, they go on suicide missions every time, so we can't always expect the same team to come back. So I like that they switch up the lineup of the Suicide Squad quite a lot.
Like, potentially, like, people watching this, they could be like, in their kind of like their continuity in their head. Maybe Bloodsport, who was so great in the film, maybe he's too banged up from the last mission, so now Deadshot's being brought in to take his place, and vice versa. So I appreciate that.
Well, what they do with the Arkham games is they always create some extra bonus DLC.
Yeah.
So you can with Arkham Knight, you can download a bonus level where you play as Harley Quinn. You download a bonus story where you play as Batgirl. And then you can get tons of changeable costumes. So when Tim Drake's in it, and I was like, I don't want to play this unless I can wear his original costume, which they had available. So I downloaded it and put it on there. So yeah, maybe Bloodsport's not in it, but maybe Deadshot has a Bloodsport costume that you can put on him.
Yeah,
so
that'd
it
be
looks
great.
like, or stuff like
or maybe
that.
even like you say, maybe there are bonus rounds where you can play as different characters, because the Suicide Squad's had loads of different sort of lineups. So maybe there's other ones that will come into the game at some point further on, hopefully.
Exactly.
But the game comes out in 2022 sometime. I don't think we've actually got an official date, but it will be on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series. It says XIX. I don't know what that means, and PC.
Great.
But pretty much every console or the main
platform.
consoles.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Superman's new mission statement. So this was another one that caused a whole lot of controversy on social media, sadly. But yeah, Jim Lee announced at DC FanDome that they were changing the mission statement, which when I first heard him say that, I was like, this sounds really serious. But it's they changed his motto. So instead of truth, justice, and the American way, it's now truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. So yeah, I like it. I mean, there's a lot of uproar, like I said, but it pretty much, even though the words are slightly different, it pretty much means the same thing. He's not abandoning Americans. And I think even though it doesn't necessarily mean that he only supports Americans with it saying the American way, a lot of people think that might be the case. And I think people that aren't in America find this more inclusive and sort of making him more accessible to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I like this. I didn't like it when people, like the writers, took it upon themselves to change it when they did their stories, But I like it that this is like an official thing that's DC saying, like, look, we recognize these things and this is going to be it going forward. I think that's a better move, and it feels less politicized than when it's just a writer taking it upon themselves to change it in their own story, But it means the same thing, because it's essentially what the American way part was, like a better tomorrow. This is like we talked about with Philip Kennedy Johnson when he intentionally put the American way in his books, and he explained like it's the American way is not how America is, it's the American ideal, the ideals that America was founded on, and which is really the first democracy in the modern era, 1776, and then all the other countries followed suit, and so yeah, it's like the ideals that this country was founded on, my country was founded was it's an inspiration for a lot of how the Western world functions today, and it has made better tomorrows for lots and lots of people. So I do think this is good, and I do think it is a lot more inclusive, especially for people in countries where Superman is super popular. And I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it shows that the people at DC are communicating and moving with the times.
Yeah. And David Beasley says it definitely makes Superman more of a global influence, which, I think that's probably not their first intention, but I think that's the main thing. That's the main takeaway from the change for me, because, it's for everyone, isn't it? But yeah, there's been a lot of uproar saying, it shouldn't have changed. America needs Superman and all this sort of stuff. And you still have him. He's just changing his words.
Yeah, I mean, he's brought, like he says in Man of Steel. I was raised in Kansas. Like, I'm about as American as you can get. So that's not, like, nothing about his character is really changing. It's just his, the wording. And I feel like he has rarely said that actual statement. I think other people in the comics say that about him. But I don't think he usually says that sort of stuff. One thing, though.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, one thing, though, that has always bugged me was in Superman Returns, we see him, like, going around the Earth, like in Paris and, wherever, and he's saving people. And I'm like, he never sleeps. He just never sleeps. He just follows the sun around the Earth, saving people all the time. And somehow he still has time to show up for his job as Clark Kent.
I was wondering. I would like this to perhaps be like, on the banner of maybe the comics for like a month or so, or maybe appear in the issues. Then that'd be quite cool as well, just to really sort of like reiterate it and show that like we're behind this as a company as a whole. This is a mindset that we're all moving forward with together. I think that'd be quite cool as well. That'd be quite special on the front of covers.
And the Geek of Steel is here. Hello, Luke. So Superman is for the universes, which he definitely is. What I think they will do with the comics, I think, when they sort of advertise new comic issues inside the comic, like I think it's usually the last few pages or the first pages. Yeah. I think they might do that with this. Yeah. Or maybe the first page just have that, just so people don't forget, just to drill it into people's minds, I guess. We will move on to My Adventures with Superman. So this one has no sort of release date yet, but it's going to be coming to Cartoon Network and HBO Max at some point, and I'm probably guessing it's 2022. But we got another look at some of the concept art, because I think this image that we are showing you now we've already seen, but we were shown some of the sort of character designs, a little bit more detail on, you can see the sort of facial expressions and see what kind of people these characters are, even though, we know them very well. It's Clark, Lois, and Jimmy, of course, but, we kind of get to see a bit of their personalities, which I quite like. And I think it looks great. It's nice to see more of their designs. It's definitely anime style for sure, which I quite like. Like I said before, it kind of reminds me of Pokemon. So I think, I'm definitely going to be watching this, whether it's for kids or not. I'm going to be watching it.
Yeah, I could not be more excited for this. The new concept art we're getting, it looks very Studio Ghibli, which is just the highest caliber of Japanese animation, anime style animation, and so this looks fantastic. And also, something I said in our review that we're putting out is that anime, unlike Western animation, has really embraced the sort of slice of life genre, and this looks very much like it's going to have a slice of life element to it. I mean, you look at Western animation, there's almost nothing for a slice of life thing, but it's all over in Japanese animation, and so I mean, this looks great. It looks very like day in the life. I feel like it's going to be a lot like Lois and Clark, where Superman is the secondary character, Clark Kent and Lois Lane are the focus. And it's great. And one other thing is, I mean, you can see how they are, they're really staying true to these characters, especially when you look at Jimmy. You look at these black and white drawings. If you didn't know that they were making him an African-American person, and you looked at these black and white drawings, you would say, oh, it's Jimmy Olsen, and it looks just like it. And so, I think this is just further proof that change is, I don't think it's going to be consequential to the character, and it's going to be the Jimmy we know and love.
Yeah. There is one change that I think will be consequential. Where is the bow tie?
So true.
But I'll forgive them because this looks great so far, and I can't wait to see. I want to see a trailer. That's what I want. It's just going back to what we said before. I want to see more, but I think that's what this was all about. It's just a tease for what's to come. So I hope we get to see a trailer very soon, and we get an official release date because there isn't one just yet.
I mean, look at this picture here. Look at the background detail in the city. It looks so beautiful. You look at the poses of the characters. It really feels like they're like Clark, Jimmy, and Lois are peers.
Yes.
Because usually it's like Clark and Lois are kind of like rivals, and they're going at it, and they like barely talk except when they're butting heads over a story. And Jimmy's like their little kid sidekick. Who shows up every once in a while. But I really like the dynamic when they are peers. Like they did a lot of that in the 90s, and it's just they're a team. And I think this just has all of the things I love about Superman in it. Because my favorite stuff, it's the character stuff. Besides the awesome powers and whatnot, it's the character stuff that really makes you invest with him and love them. So yeah.
And Luke, the Geek of Steel, says, it looks gorgeous. I'm ready to see some beautiful imagery from on top of the Daily Planet. It's very spirited. Yeah, it does feel like Spirited Away.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, I think Ghibli. I like saying that. But I think, even just from the background of this picture, it is so detailed. And I think we're going to see some really nice sort of realistic stuff. And I hope we get to see Superman and Jimmy sitting on top of the Daily Planet. I think that'll be cool. And David Beasley's loving the animation style, which, we are too. It looks great. So we will move on to The Flash. So that's the next sort of big film release that we're going to talk about. So it wasn't really a trailer. It was a behind the scenes mixed with a trailer kind of thing. But we had Michael Keaton doing the voiceover, which, based on Evan's reaction there, not everyone realized that it was Michael Keaton.
I did not catch that.
I recognized that voice, and then it clicked for a little bit. So obviously, even though we didn't get to see him in the sort of teaser trailer, we know it's confirmed anyway. But we saw the Flash suit ring, which I think Ashley, when you went to the set when it was filming in London, you said that you think you might have saw a ring, and this sort of confirms all of that. So that's quite exciting. We obviously saw concept art of his suit, which is what you're seeing now, which I think it looks great. I like how how the logo's sort of lit up and it's sort of running through like veins sort of through the rest of his body. I quite like that.
That's straight from the New 52.
Yes.
The lightning running through the costume, directly from that.
You love New 52, don't you?
Do you know what? It's got its place. Not all of it does, but it's got its place in history, for sure. I mean, look at the new Gotham Knights game. Taking elements directly from the New 52. So.
Yep.
Well, I haven't read it, so I'm not too sure. But I think this concept art of the suit looks great. There was also a shot of two Flashes, so we know that he's sort of this shot here. So we know he's sort of there's two of them. They've obviously gone back in time, or they're from another time or Earth or whatever's going on. That suit on the left, so that is the one that Andy Muschietti teased before on Instagram. Do you remember the Batman one? And he's got the bolt.
Yeah, so someone's
straight over it.
Yeah, I think so it's obviously like a repurposed chest plate from the Batman 89 costume, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, I think I'm assuming that's what it is because it looks a lot like that. But this I saw before we get on to Supergirl, who is obviously there on the right hand side. I saw a sort of theory post. And in Batman versus Superman, when Bruce Wayne sort of first sees, I think it's actually Wonder Woman who first sees all of the different videos of, it is Bruce Wayne. When Bruce Wayne goes to see the Flash for the first time and he says, "Is this you?" And it's him stopping a robbery in a shop. Do you remember that bit? Yeah, and his hair's a lot more longer.
Yeah, so Barry Allen there says, "That's not me, that's just somebody who looks exactly like me." But we obviously think he's lying, but this could actually be true. It might not actually be him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Kind of just blew my mind.
Well, these three characters. So we've obviously got Supergirl. We've got, I'm assuming, Al Barry, center of that image, and we obviously have this more sort of like disheveled looking Barry. Are any of these characters from this Michael Keaton's? I'm assuming they're in Michael Keaton's universe here. Michael Keaton's, sorry, Batman universe. I wonder if either of these three characters are from that timeline.
That would be interesting.
I would say out of the three, probably the Flash on the left, possibly because he's kind of got the curtain haircut, and I guess it's kind of that time.
Yeah,
or near
because Supergirl's costume is very reminiscent of a Man of Steel design, and not very Tim Burton 90s.
Connor Superman 1 says, what do you guys think of Ezra Miller as Barry Allen?
I love him. I love Ezra Miller anyway. I think he's hilarious. I think, well, we were talking about Ezra Miller in our sort of group chat before, but I went to San Diego Comic-Con a few years ago, and I was it was the panel, it was the Fantastic Beasts panel, because he was one of the characters in that, and he literally went there dressed up as Toadette from Mario, and I just think he's hilarious. He has no shame. He's hilarious. Yes. And
I made a comment in our group chat, because when he comes on and he's talking and he's got like the dog collar on, I'm like, he looks like he's a 5-year-old who's raided his mom's closet to like play dress up. Just with
but that's why I love him. He just has no shame. He'll do whatever he wants, pull off whatever he wants. But I think he's a great Flash. I think he's got the nerdiness of the Flash. He's like in Zack Snyder's Justice League. His moments were the moments I was laughing the most, because he's funny and he has a lot of humor to it.
Yeah,
he's nothing like he's nothing like his comic book counterpart at all. I think I would say Gustin Grant more so is, but he's brilliant. He's charming. I was never familiar with him before Justice League. I hadn't seen him in anything, and he's just very charming in the movies. Like you said, Tasmin. Funny. I was laughing so much with his like little quips and little when
he took the hot dog as well.
And when the Batcircle goes and everyone's disappeared, he's like, oh, that's yeah, brilliant.
I agree with you. Actually, he's really nothing like Barry Allen. So what do I think of him as Barry Allen? But as the Flash, it's great. I think he's much more like Bart Allen, who is Impulse, Flash's grandson, who is one of my all-time favorite comic book characters. So I don't mind this iteration at all, even though he's got the wrong secret identity. It's still good.
I just wanted to circle back a bit. When you guys were talking about at the beginning of the trailer, the voiceover. See, when I first watched it, I was under the impression that it was his dad talking. But then obviously, as I watched it again and 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 again, like a lot of the fans did, he obviously puts his hand on, I'm assuming, his mum's shoulder, and Bruce Wayne kind of says, you've stayed in this timeline for this woman. So that's what kind of led me to believe that it was obviously not Barry's dad. But originally I thought it was Barry's dad talking.
I just recognized the voice. I think they've been playing all the Michael Keaton Batman films on Sky sort of over and over again the past few weeks. So I've caught quite a few of them. And so yeah, as soon as I heard it, I was like, that's Michael Keaton. But I'm a little bit sad they didn't show him. We just got to hear his voice.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Bailey, I think the new costume is 1,000 times better than his outfit in Justice League. Do you know what? I think it's natural progression. The first one is very cobbled together. His first sort of like prototype suit, but this, you're right, my friend, looks incredible.
Yes, it's much more accurate to the comic books. That's for sure. I really liked the way the one in Justice League looked on screen. I just think it worked well for a movie thing, but it's comic accurate, and the way that it is skin tight and like sculpted to his body, I feel like this is going to be some sort of like super science suit where it's almost like the Venom symbiote, it just kind of like conforms to him. Because I don't understand how he would have the budget to make this by himself.
Yeah.
And how would he get in that? How does he get in that?
Yeah.
Jeremiah Bailey
Jeremiah
also
Bailey.
says, I just hope Ezra Miller's Flash doesn't end up like Tom Holland's Spider-Man and other heroes' multiverses are used as a crutch for the lead. Flash has plenty of compelling scenarios as a solo hero.
Good point.
Yeah, I think the way they've sort of advertised, well, it's not really advertised, they've sort of announced that there's a lot of Batmen in this film, and obviously we've got Supergirl as well. I think there is a lot of other characters in the mix, and I think it so far it seems like it's not really his film, and I've seen loads of sort of memes about it saying like fake movie posters, which is every character apart from him. There seems to be a lot of that, but I think with this teaser that we got, it kind of showed how much he is really involved in it. Do you know what I mean? There are other characters, but you got two flashes for starters, and you know he's obviously got a big role to play in the film because it's his film, and I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised. But the reason that we're talking about the Flash on this podcast is because we obviously got the first look of Sasha Calle as Supergirl, or first official look, because we've seen all of those sort of filming behind the scenes pictures. But even though she's very blurry, she looks great. But there's obviously this look, but then Neil from Get Your Comic On, hello Neil, if you ever listen, he mentioned that, you know, when it's Ezra Miller or Barry Allen laying someone down, and they kind of look like they're dead, that's Supergirl as well, or that's Sasha Calle. So I don't know whether that's her from a different multiverse, or, you know, I don't know whether it's Supergirl or that character. But I suppose we'll obviously see when the film comes out. But yeah, I think this. Well, actually, I think I'm most excited for Black Adam at the moment, but this is a very close second. I'm very excited for this. I think it's just going to be wild. Nobody knows how to predict it. We don't know who's going to be in it. There's loads of rumors going around as to who could be in it. I just think it's going to be one hell of an experience at the cinema.
Well, I mean, as our viewer just pointed out about, he hopes that this isn't too much going to, the Flash isn't going to rely on sort of like time travel and multiverses and things like that. But, time travel is a key component of the character's, mythology. Time travel, every time he runs, run, Barry, run, he's at risk of running too fast into the Speed Force, and, all kinds of bad stuff can happen through that. So time travel and, dimensions and, multiverse hopping is essentially a part of the character's characteristics or background. So
absolutely.
I can't wait for this movie. And that stinger right at the end, that what was under that kind of tarpaulin sheet, I wonder.
It's the Batmobile.
If only they just, because they timed it just right, so you don't see anything. But I would have popped if I'd seen that. But we do, Tasmin, we do see, and Evan, we do see Batman in this trailer, but from behind, right? That was great.
Yeah, that's a nice shot. And obviously it's Michael Keaton's suit, isn't it? Instantly recognizable. One thing, do you think this film is going to be set before or after Justice League?
After.
Because in Justice League he mentions that he's dabbled with time travel before, so I was thinking maybe this could be telling the story behind that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be after, because we're going to have Snyder versus Batman in here, so they would have already had to have met, and apparently he's trying to get his dad out of jail. So I think, definitely this will be after. I think that was just a line that they put in there to explain how he can just do this when he needs to, in the movie, without it being like, where did this come from? Like, how can he already know how to do this? Hey, before we move on from the girl stuff, what do you guys think of this announcement here with Teen Titans Go meets the Superhero Girls TV show?
It was a animated film, isn't it? This.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've seen Teen Titans Go to the movies, but I haven't seen anything to do with the DC Superhero Girls. So I have no idea what to expect.
I just want to say, Jessica Cruz.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm in.
Yeah. He's a great character. So this is actually the second iteration of DC Superhero Girls. The first one was a lot more younger kid friendly, and the heroes were a lot more true to the actual comic book iterations. And these ones, this is the second iteration, and they're a lot more Teen Titans Go style, where it's just uber exaggerated versions of the characters' comedic sides. That being said, even though it's not great for littler kids, it's hilarious. The superhero. If you're a fan of DC Comics and you haven't watched this, just watch it, because it's just nonstop satire on DC stuff, and it's not just weird, gross out, random junk like the Teen Titans Go is. This is for true fans of the characters. So I'm hoping this will be good. I watched half of the Teen Titans Go one, where they teamed up with their original versions of themselves from the Sirius TV show, and that was just dumb. And it was very discouraging also, because it's like, hey, we brought him back. Well, no, you didn't. It's still about the Teen Titans Go. These two franchises seem much more compatible with each other, so I'd be excited to watch this.
Yeah, I can say I haven't seen any of the actual TV show. I've seen the Teen Titans Go to the movies film, but I'd probably watch this. And you know, I'm sort of working my way through watching all of the DC stuff, like this Superman, like Smallville, the Adventures of Superman. I've got a long list of things to watch, and I will add this individual series to my list at some point. But while we're speaking about DC animated films, and I forgot to put this in my notes, but they also announced a Battle of the Super Sons animated film, which is going to be the first CGI film. Evan, you're prepared for that, even though I didn't put it in the notes.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be the first CGI DC film, and well, Evan is hoping that it's going to look a lot like this, and yeah, I hope it does too, because that looks great. I know Jorge Jimenez is very excited for this. He's been posting all across social media about this, because obviously they're his designs, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So it's coming out in 2022. That's pretty much all we know, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know a bit more about this.
Looks absolutely fantastic. And plus the fact, you know, you've got older John in the comics, we've got younger John here, so best of both worlds. Everyone's happy. Yeah,
I was going to say there's a lot of fans of the Super Sons as they were then, so a lot of people are going to be happy with that. Moving on to the Superman and Lois panel, which was very, 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 very disappointing. I was hoping for a new suit reveal, a trailer, something, the new villain announcement, you know, just anything. But all we kind of got was a behind-the-scenes tour of the set, or some of the set, which, yeah, it was cool to see. And it was nice to see how they do some of the effects, like do it changing the day and night outside and stuff like that. But, yeah, I was just expecting a lot more.
Yep.
I was actually a bit disenchanted by this. Actually, I'm still in awe of the magic of the movies, or the sort of like the small screen, and knowing that there's no one upstairs in the Kent farm, I was a bit bummed out. I would like to have thought that it was a working sort of house, but hey, it is what it is. And I thought, you know, Jordan came off like a bit more personality came off on the young man as well. So
that's because he's not in character.
Yeah. Savage. Well, speaking of the whole movie magic thing, like, I know
it was nice to see them like letting talents on the old piano as well.
Yeah, that was cool. It was cool to see all the behind the scenes stuff, but I know how fake like the films and TV things are, especially especially TV, because I went to the Warner Brothers tour when I went to America, well, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and I saw it all then, and I was just like even in Man of Steel, I was shocked to hear that the cape was CGI. I did not know. I didn't know that, and I was like, what? Yeah. But then also, like, you probably see me announce on social media that I did some filming with the BBC. They asked if I could pretend to do the podcast on there. So there's probably going to be a bit of me sort of speaking to myself to go, hello and welcome to the Aspiring Kryptonians, blah blah blah.
Nice.
But there was the director, and then there was the director's assistant, and the director was like, "Oh, we'll get the assistant to call you on Zoom, and he can pretend that he does the podcast with you." And I was like, "No." I was like, "No," because like if people like you know what I mean? If people do end up listening, they know that that's fake.
Yeah.
So I just did it on my own. So that's how fake it is. And he also pretended to be a postman for somebody else delivering one of their collectibles. So it's all fake.
Nice.
Shame on them. But yeah, I was going back to Superman and Lois. I was disappointed with the panel. I thought we were just going to we didn't really learn anything about the new series, which is already announced. Yeah, I don't know. I was a bit bummed about that. So we will move swiftly on to the Smallville reunion, which ruined everything for me. I mean, I'm watching it for the first time right now, and I'm probably about halfway through series 8, and they played a montage which had clips from the series and episodes that I haven't seen yet. They talked about characters that they were getting killed off at some point, and yeah, it ruined a lot of the series for me because I now know what's going to happen.
Well, don't worry. There's still lots of surprises, all very disappointing surprises, but still surprises nonetheless.
I'm sure. I need to sort myself out because I haven't watched it for a couple of months. So yeah, I need to sort that out and start watching an episode a day or something because I'll never get through it.
I would say I enjoyed it though. I thought it was a nice retrospect of a show that was quite pivotal in the sort of the way that we view DC shows now. You know, it was the foundation, and it's nice to see these actors back in the fold. You know, it's nice to see like Tom Welling to a certain extent back in the fold. You know, he's not completely sort of detached from it all. He obviously done his turn in the big crossover event from a few years back now. So it's nice that, you know, Smallville is being acknowledged for what it was, and it was a big part of the DC kind of television routine for a lot of fans. And it was obviously what kind of kickstarted everything that we have now. So I like the fact that it's back and being acknowledged, and all the actors are, you know, taking a bow because it was a very, very good show for what it was at the time.
Yeah, so you had Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, who obviously played Clark Kent and Lex Luthor. They were sort of sat on the sofa with Tiffany Smith, and she was asking them a bunch of questions about what it was like to film and relationships between the cast and stuff. And then they showed a load of montages of some of the other characters from the film just saying hello and wishing, like saying thank you to the fans and all that sort of stuff. So it was really nice. Lois, Erica Durance was missing. Did you notice? She wasn't in any of the montages. And also at the very end, Michael Rosenbaum said, "See you soon," which there's all these rumors about the Smallville animated series, which I'm pretty sure he and Tom Welling have been cooking up, supposedly. So maybe that is a little hint towards it being confirmed, I hope.
That would be cool. Erica Durance was in the montage of the clips from the show. She was in the clips of the show, not an interview montage, but yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? Michael Rosenbaum has obviously got lots of pedigree with animated shows and things as well. So I think it would be in very safe hands with those two gentlemen. It would be interesting to see though where, if they do it, it picks up, because obviously, you know, for a little while back then we had the comics that were expanding that Smallville universe. So I would like to see them perhaps go beyond those, because I don't want to see them kind of just wiped from existence kind of thing. You know, I don't want this to be sort of like season 11 again, because we technically do already have a season 11. So
yeah, no, I agree. I think they should take that into consideration because it's already there, like I said.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it gives them incentive to sort of like perhaps bound it in a nice big hardback for, you know, for readers to get in their collection. So they've got obviously the Blu-ray set, they've got the big omnibus, and then we can push on with the animated series.
They should actually put it all together, so you get the DVDs or the Blu-rays and the comic. Connor says my height went through the roof with the Smallville reunion, and I can't wait for the animated series. I mean, it's not officially confirmed yet, but I think there's been a lot of rumors about it. I think it was either Tom Welling or Michael Rosenbaum posted a video on, I think it was on Instagram, and he said that they'd been cooking something up. So, I mean, for them to say that, I think he was a little bit drunk as well. So I think he didn't mean to say it. So I think it's going to happen. And I think just based on this reunion and people's reaction to it, we know that there's an audience for it. And people like it could. bring new audiences like me to Smallville, which was 20 years ago. Like I'm watching it for the first time now, and I'm sure there's a lot of people or Superman fans that haven't actually seen it yet, because it took me so long to watch it because it was so intimidating, because there were 10 series, and you know, it's taken me, I think I started it when the first lockdown happened, so it's taken me like a year and a half to get to series 8, and I haven't been watching an episode every day, obviously, but you know, it's very long-winded.
Yeah, I think Connor kind of reiterated my point about, you know, Smallville being back in the fold, and for people that were there at the time, you know, the different platforms you watched it on. Like, I mean, I think originally over here in England it started out on ITV, and then the latter seasons moved to E4.
It was E4. Yeah, that was it. I remember seeing it on E4.
Yeah, so you know, I think it was such a huge, momentous show for what it was. I mean, we hadn't had anything for so long like it. And it was great. I mean, I just have so many fond memories of it, you know. And Lana and the different various characters in it. I thought,
Can I just say, Lana is the worst Smallville character.
I agree with you.
She's
wow, you just thrown a grenade there.
She is.
I loved her in it. I thought she was great. She was my first.
Go on.
I was going to say she was my first iteration. She was my first exposure to the Lana character. I wasn't very familiar with this love before Lois. I always knew about Lois and whatnot, and I liked Lana a lot. I thought she was great in it. You know,
first 3 seasons, I like her, and then like after that, it's like, please, Lana, just stop, go away,
just go, stay in Paris.
Now that's nothing against Kristen Kurek. She's a great actress, but it's not written in the show. You know,
it's not the actress. It's just the character. She's just so mean. I feel like she's so mean to Clark, and she just got him wrapped around her little finger. Like, I think one of the last ones I watched, well, not the last ones, but one of the recent ones, it was the whole Bizarro. When Bizarro's happened, and then he comes back at some point because Clark's in. I don't know. I can't remember. But she's basically sweet talking Bizarro because he's telling her what she wants to hear, and she's like, "Oh, actually, I might go and choose that Bizarro over the Clark I've known for years." And I was like, "She's horrible, horrible." Anyway, we will move on to Naomi. So I know this isn't technically Superman or from the Superman family, but she kind of is, I think. Or I like to class her as part of the Superman family a little bit. So for those that have read the comic book, like I have, she's a new character created by Brian Michael Bendis and David. Oh, I can't remember this name. I can't remember, but it's David somebody. And yeah, she's this new superhero who is just sort of finding her powers. She's a little bit obsessed with Superman, a little bit like me. And I love her. And I think I partly love her because she kind of reminds myself of me, because the first cover of Naomi was her opening her locker and it's just filled with Superman pictures, and like, that's just my bedroom. So I'm going to sue Brian Bendis for that, because I feel like they've stolen my personality and identity and just put it in the pages of a comic book. But no, I'm joking. I love her. She's great, and I think I like how she kind of looks up to Superman, and like she's like, in comics, you don't really have Superman. You do have Superman fans, but you don't have fans like that. And I think she is a good portrayal of a Superman fan, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
100%. It was, I thought it was very sort of contemporary, very modern. You know, people communicating via messages, seeing the messages pop up on the screen. Was very much like the comic book. Again, watching the snippet, like you said, I had you in mind. I pictured
she
that
doesn't look like me, but
I remember seeing the front. I remember seeing the front cover and messaging you and saying, "Have you seen this character? It's you." So I just pictured it being you the whole time. But this looks great. I mean, Ava DuVernay is one of the leading lights in Hollywood right now. I would love to have seen her and Tom King's New Gods. I know that's been somewhat put on the back burner now indefinitely, but we're getting Ava DuVernay in the DC universe anyway. She's great. This looks good. And when I heard the brawl, or when you heard the ruckus happening that she's going to investigate, I was praying that we was going to see Mongol flying through the air and hitting some type of shop window, or kind of, because that's what you see in the comic. But alas, we just saw a blur in the sky instead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that might not be the only sort of interactions she has like that. Like there might be a few, but I think that's going to be how we see Superman for the whole series. I don't think he's going to make an appearance. It's going to be like, do you remember in the older Supergirl series where they were texting all the time and you saw the blurs and all that sort of stuff? I think it's going to be like that.
Yeah, but
especially for the first series.
Season 2?
Well, that's it. So maybe the first series is just going to be that, to see how she stands on her own, and then But I think we were talking about this before. I think I was talking about it with you guys, but there's not a lot of source material for them to pull from. I think it was so they could be making up their own sort of stories in this. Obviously, the snippet we saw was very true to the comics, which I really appreciate, and I think it looks great. But I will definitely be watching. So Connor says it's because of the resemblance between Tasmin and Naomi that I want to watch this. It's definitely not me, but
like I said, when I saw the cover for that very first cover, I remember being in a comic book shop, and I saw the cover, and I straight away messaged Tasmin. I was like, "You are on the front of a comic book."
Yeah. And I think I put the picture on social media, like when it first came out, and I tagged Brian Bendis in it, and I was like, you've stolen. I think something about opening a lawsuit case, and he actually liked it, so maybe he agreed.
Nice.
But
I think it looks good. We don't have a release date yet. I'm assuming it's probably going to be HBO Max. Is that right? Yeah. But the first look was great. We've already seen the sort of poster for the series, which looks exactly like. I think it is the first cover of Naomi as well, which is nice. But I think this is going to be great. And actually, even though you're talking about Ava DuVernay and Tom King's New Gods, which got cancelled, Tom King has been teasing on social media that he's doing something else to do with DC film. And I don't know what it is. He hasn't obviously said what it is, and I'm assuming it's not New Gods because that was openly sort of cancelled. But I'm just curious as to what it could be.
Interesting.
Yeah. We'll move on to Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So we had a first look of that, which again was a very much behind the scenes sort of look with a few. Actually, I think all of it was behind the scenes. There was no actual footage. It was just them sort of mostly messing around in between sets, I think. In between scenes, I think. So we saw Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren as Calypso and Hespera for the first time. We saw their suits, which look great, and obviously the whole gang have got new suits pretty much. They all look but they look more mature than what they did when we first saw them in the first Shazam film, which is great. I love all of the whole sort of mythical stuff anyway in like film and books and all that sort of stuff. I love that kind of thing, and I think this is going to draw me in because obviously the whole gods thing, which is going to be great, and all of the creatures that they've announced. Well, they haven't announced what they are, but we've seen some of the concept art of the creatures that they're going to use, and I think Darla is riding some sort of, I can't remember what it was, some sort of ancient creature, mythical creature, which it just looks great. That's all I have to say about it. The cast look like they're fun. They just look like they're having a great time rather than having to go to work every day, which, I think it adds to it, and you can feel their sort of relationship behind the scenes on set or on camera.
It looks cool. A couple of things I want to see in this movie is I'd love for Mary Marvel to get some more attention. She is because it used to be just Billy, Mary, and Freddie for the most part in modern comics after the Crisis. And Mary's a great character in the Countdown series. She was the one holding her own against Black Adam pretty much. So that's pretty cool. And then we got teased with Mr. Mind at the end of the last one. And so what is he going to show up? Is he behind whatever's going on with these things? I'd love to see more of him. Yeah,
I forgot about that was in the end credits, wasn't it? All that sort of stuff. I totally forgot about that. What do you think, Ashley, about this?
This whole thing looks great. I want to go back quickly to Shazam, the original movie, and I just felt that Warner Brothers just put enough effort into this thing just to make sure that, we get a movie out of it. And if it's bad, okay, we could just kind of like, just kind of poo-poo it and it's gone. But it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
And I feel they've gone
really
all in
enjoyed it.
on this one now. They've gone all in. Helen Mirren, she just classes up the joint tenfold. Lucy Liu's great. I'm so glad to see her back in a big prominent kind of picture. And it just looks wild. All those kind of mythological beasts and creatures. Everyone looks like they're having fun. And I cannot wait. This looks awesome. And it's an upgrade for sure. It looks like, more confidence has been put into the product, more money's been put in, more emphasis on this movie's been put in, and it's going to be bigger, better. A lot like Aquaman.
Yeah. There is one bad thing about it, though, and that's the fact that it's coming out in 2023, which is ages away.
Yes.
So we have, the whole cast are going to be, they're going to age like 10 years before we get this film. I wish they'd moved a lot quicker. With both Aquaman and this. Jason Momoa said himself in their behind the scenes footage, it was 4 years ago since they'd filmed the first one. I think they were moved way too slow doing these movies, personally, because you know what it's like from like things like Stranger Things. Those kids age really quickly, and they're going to look like they're collecting their pension by the time Shazam and Black Adam collide. So the thing is, though, they couldn't do it any faster because of all the pandemic sort of stuff. So I'm sure that put a huge dent in their timelines, and I think it's pushed pretty much every film back. Like the Batman was supposed to be out by now, wasn't it?
Yeah, agreed.
For sure. And there's obviously James Bond was supposed to come out like 2 years ago. There's just so many films that have been pushed back because of this, and I'm just glad that everything's sort of moving a bit more like clockwork now, rather than getting delayed and delayed. We'll move on to, there was a bit of a tease of, and I don't think, and not many people really picked this up, and it was a very small tease, but Jim Lee and Alex Sinclair had been working on, I think Brad Anderson did the inks, I want to say, or Brad Walker, I can't remember. It's one of the comic Brads. But they did some artwork for DC FanDome, like they did last year as well. But they cut a huge bit out of it, which they revealed in DC FanDome, which is the title, which is Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, I think they're teasing a new Crisis because some of the characters that were featured on there are very different to what was previously introduced in the other Crisis that we've already had. So Peacemaker was on there. You had Supergirl on there, but she had the trouser suit on like she does in the Supergirl TV show rather than the classic skirt. It's one of those ones where you really have to zoom in to see all of the detail, because it's a huge, I'm assuming it's like a triple page spread because it's that detailed. But I think that's what they're teasing. So this could reset a lot of stuff that's going on in the comics.
Please no.
Yeah, I hope they don't. I hope they stick with what they're doing now, because I'm really enjoying it. I think every single comic that's out at the moment, I'm only reading the Superman titles, but all of the Superman titles are really good. I don't think there's a bad one at the moment.
Even if I hated the comic books that were here right now, stop rebooting stuff. Good grief, man. How many times can you do this in the past decade? Just try something else. Try something else. Just, we've done it too many times. I'm tired of the rewriting all of history events.
Yeah. And it's called the same thing. And like we've already had a crisis on Infinite Earths. Like, why is there another one? The crisis should be named something different.
We just finished Death Metal and Doomsday Clock, which basically functioned as another Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I guess, yeah.
And they already rewrote a bunch of stuff. So just move forward with what we've got, add and subtract in a different way. Like just old-fashioned kill some people instead of wiping everything from existence, please.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but the title was there. They're not going to show that and it not have sort of big consequences. But we'll wait and see. They didn't really say anything to do with when or what or how. They just teased the image. And then Jim Lee posted about it on social media just after, which was pretty much the same information he gave during the event. So hopefully we get a bit more information on that in the coming weeks.
I mean, for me personally, if this is like a Jim Lee illustrated book, give it to me now. However, I would take it more as like perhaps a standalone Black Label series book than say something in continuity. Because, like Evan, you said perfectly, how many times have they rebooted in the last 10 years? I would definitely take a Jim Lee illustrated Crisis book, but in Black Label format where it doesn't have long-term ramifications, just a start, middle, and end, epic, sprawling kind of story. I would like that. I'd take that. So from that point of view, I'm excited. Jim Lee back on interiors or even covers would be great. That'd be wonderful because he really is the heartbeat of DC. So
yeah,
in that regard, excited. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But onto the final bit of DC FanDome news, or what I've noted down anyway for now. The Batman, which was probably the biggest mini event during the event, I guess. It, to me, the trailer looks like it could be the best Batman film to date. I think it's just going to be, obviously the Dark Knight trilogy is incredible, and I can't fault it. Aside from the moment where Two-Face doesn't realize that it's the Joker talking to him dressed as a nurse, but the rest of it is amazing, and I can't fault it. But I think this is just darker, grittier, more comic accurate Batman. I think it's just going to be amazing.
Batman in this movie,
that picture there,
looks,
that image of him and Selena Kyle just looks amazing.
The silhouettes, no carbs in that picture.
No carbs, yeah.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz is on another level. She's stunning.
I think in this movie, this iteration of Batman, this Batman is raw, he's angry, and he's violent. And you see that in his actions, but in a couple of snippets in this trailer, it's the cast members around him, their facial expressions sell it. Because there's a bit where he's doing like some pound and ground action, and Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman is just looking at him like, stop, please stop. When he's messing up the gang members, that I'm talking about the first trailer just quickly. That kid, he's selling it. Everyone, I think everyone in their mind's eye is saying, please stop now. Enough is enough. When you've seen something too horrific, this Batman's angry. And I think he needs in other iterations of the Batman, he's more tame and he's more efficient when he's like using his combat to stop a perpetrator. This Batman, there's no finesse. This is just someone who can fight and he doesn't know how to stop. I had some goosebumps throughout this whole trailer, you could probably tell.
Yeah, this seems like a younger Batman, and so I like that. Since he's younger, he's still just all raw rage, he's been waiting to beat the junk out of criminals for 10 years while he's training. And now he can finally do it, and he's letting it all out, and I like that. I think, that's a good, if you're talking comic accuracy, I think Ben Affleck was a little more, Batman of the current comics, where he's well established. He's been doing it for years. He's got all the gadgets. He's got all the connections and all the stuff. But this is a nice like Batman year 3, year 2, year 1 sort of story. I'm
pretty sure. I think in the panel just before, where the director Matt Reeves, Zoe Kravitz, and Robert Pattinson were talking about the film, I'm sure they said that it was mostly based off of Batman Year 1.
It looks like it.
I heard year 2 because obviously the signal's already established, but it's all early, isn't it? Like Evan, you just said, this is a raw nerve Batman, and I think he enjoys it. I think this is a man who's enjoying being Batman for once.
This guy looks amazing.
This guy, Penguin. Colin Farrell.
Yeah, I know. You can't tell it's him.
No, I love Colin Farrell. I think he's a great actor, and he's unrecognizable in this. He looks insane. He looked great Selena Kyle looked great. You got a bit of a tease of the Riddler as well, but you didn't really see his face.
I do not like the car.
I don't know.
love the
I like that it's not. And do you know what I mean? How high tech some of the other Batmobiles are. I like that this is kind of like a bit of a. I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like a bit of a banger, but
it's a muscle car.
Yeah.
My favorite vehicle in all of Hollywood is Mad Max's V8 Interceptor Pursuit Special. This looks just like it, not as banged up, not as dinged up, but this looks like a Batmobile that Bruce Wayne has put together. You know, he's found a shell of a car, he's souped it up inside, no doubt.
Yeah, by himself.
He's not gone to Lucius. He's not, created something that we just don't know how he's made it, like in the '89 movie or anything like that. This is something that a young guy has been able to soup up himself. You know, he's self-taught this. You know, I'm sure when he went away for the amount of years that he went away to train, he probably visited like the best mechanics in the world, how to put cars together from scratch. You know, and this is an example of that. So I really like this Batmobile.
Yeah.
You know what's the coolest shot in the trailer? Is this one right here.
I don't even remember seeing that bit in the trailer.
What is that? Where is that?
That it's in the trailer. It's Batman. He's lit a flare and he's leading some people through a sewer or something.
Oh yeah.
But that's such a cool image, such a cool shot. I thought that was awesome.
If you turn that upside down or turn it up the other way around, it looks like the scene from Aquaman with the trench.
Oh yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely. My favorite parts of the trailer was where Penguin called him sweetheart. That was quite sweet. And then I also liked the bit where Penguin was driving along and he thought he'd blown up the Batmobile. And then he's sort of chuckling to himself, thinking, haha, I've killed him. And then he just sort of burst through the flames.
Yeah,
I love that bit.
So cool.
That was very cool. And also the moment where Batman is sort of people are shooting at him and he's literally just walking to them. He's not even trying to dodge them. He's just walking through them. It just looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Bailey says, do any of you have Batman fatigue or have you been on board with Patterson's casting? Any other DC heroes you'd like to see adapted to film? Do you know what? I would say I haven't been Batman fatigued. He's probably one of my favorite characters. So bring as much on as possible. I have been on board with Patterson from day one because he's a great actor. And I think he got a lot of flack for Twilight. I don't know why, because if I was in his position as a young actor and someone came to me with bags of money and said, you're going to be in about 8 films, I'm going to say yes.
Well, here's a fun fact. Henry Cavill originally auditioned for the role of... I can't remember the character's name. Edward. Yeah, he auditioned for the role of Edward Cullen as well, and he obviously didn't get it.
So I mean, I've seen him in some great films since. The Rover, for one. Good Times is a great film, and The Lighthouse as well. So no, I was down for Patterson from day one. And any other DC heroes you'd like to see adapted to film? I'll let the other guys take on the questions. Let me think of mine.
Okay. Do I have Batman fatigue? Only that he keeps getting more projects. So whenever there's a new announcement, I'm like, oh, great, another Batman thing. But then I watch it or play the game, and I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. You know, so he's one of my favorite characters. I do feel like he gets more than his fair share of content, but every time it comes out, it's like this was great. You know, he's still Batman. He's still my favorite character. Do I wish it would have been a Superman project instead? Yeah. Do I wish we could get like a Booster Gold and Blue Beetle buddy cop movie? Yeah. So that's an example of things I'd like to see. But yeah, I enjoy the things that come out, even if I'm not thrilled at the start. So
I do have a bit of Batman fatigue. He is a great character, and he is one of my favorite characters as well. But I think there's so much every time there's an announcement, it seems mostly to be Batman. And I think when we do the reviews and we're sort of dishing out who's doing what, there was one week where there was 7 Batman titles coming out in 1 week, and I was like, that's overkill. So sometimes but I think some of them were spin-offs of the Batman rogues, like the Joker and stuff like that. So it's understandable why there's another series for them. But I think, yeah, there's a lot of Batman, and I know Batman's very popular and arguably a bit more popular than Superman, which it shouldn't be the case. But yeah, there's a lot of Batman. But like Evan says, most of the stuff that does come out of Batman that I do watch or see or play or whatever, I do enjoy it as well. So it's one of those things. It's like a love-hate relationship with Batman. I haven't always been on board with Robert Pattinson's casting because I hadn't really, when he got announced, I'd only really seen Twilight because I was one of those Twilight fangirls and I was Team Jacob.
Controversial.
Yeah, and my cousin was Team Edward and we used to like fight all the time about it, but not physically, just joking around. But that's the only thing I'd seen him in, so I just couldn't, and obviously in Harry Potter as well, I just couldn't imagine him being Batman. But yeah, I hadn't seen all the films that Ashley was talking about, and to be fair, I still really haven't watched that many films with him in other than those films. I've seen The Lighthouse, which he's a very good actor in it, but I didn't really enjoy it, just because it was just very weird. But yeah, from what I've seen on the trailer, he's definitely redeemed himself, and I think he is very deserving of being Batman because he looks great. In terms of other DC heroes, I would like to see Nubia, or so I think she's becoming very popular at the minute. She's got a new comic series and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully it's leading towards some sort of live action thing, or even if it's animated, whatever. I'm up for seeing that.
I thought mine
and Supergirl.
Go ahead, Ashley.
It's the other Batman, Green Arrow.
Meh.
I'm over Green Arrow.
I would love to see a really traditional, older, grizzled Green Arrow played by Charlie Hunnam, and that'd be great.
Well, I still want to see that Supermax movie. You remember when they were doing that? The Supermax idea? That would have been so cool. And it's where Green Arrow is stuck inside a Supermax prison falsely, and he and Lex Luthor have to team up to break out.
That'd be great.
That does sound like it would be good, actually.
Yeah.
Do you know what the other character? This is not a coincidence. Jeremiah, I promise. The other character that I would have loved to have seen, ironically, is Vigilante.
We didn't talk about Peacemaker, actually.
Who's in Peacemaker? Yeah.
It that made me so mad. Like seeing what they're doing with Vigilante in that, and it's because like they did Vigilante perfect in the Arrow show.
I can't even remember him in the Arrow show.
But I mean, it's just another case of the Harley Quinn TV show or Teen Titans Go, where it's like, you know what sells? Laughter sells. So let's just make all of our heroes a joke. And yeah, and that's another reason, like any DC hero you'd like to see adapted to film, I'd love to. My second favorite hero ever is Cassandra Cain Batgirl. But I am terrified for them to give her a show or a movie, and even these new comics they're coming out with, like she's getting her own series again with Stephanie Brown. I'm terrified to read it because who knows what decisions DC Comics is going to make that I will absolutely hate. And it will.
But there's already a live action Cassandra Cain.
Shut up. I'm sorry for that.
She's one of the diamond, remember?
Oh dear.
Oh, so horrible.
Hold on. Let's finish talking about the Batman, and then we'll go into Peacemaker a little bit because I didn't write any notes for that. I didn't include that. So, well, to be fair, I've only got 2 points left about the Batman, but the first one was the score. I think the score is excellent. It's so good. I think it's the best Batman score to date. And it's set for release on the 4th of March 2022. So it's far away, but closer than you think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more, and I really want to see more of Selena Kyle as well. So Jeremiah, again, any interest in the new Bruce Timm cartoon? Honestly, not really.
Tasmin.
This is what I mean. Too much Batman. Do a Superman one, and maybe I'll be.
Can I say, Jeremiah, I very much am hyped for this. Was it a few years ago that they done that little montage for Batman's 80th? Was it?
Yeah.
And there was like a scene in that montage where it was set in the noir kind of period.
Yeah,
I'm hoping this is going to be that, because this looks great, and I love me personally. I love the noir period of time, that's Roaring Twenties. I love that period of time, and this is right up my alleyway.
They said for the pitch meeting for the show, they just showed that short.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, great. Guys, to be fair, you need to forgive Tasmin because she hasn't seen the Bruce Timm animated universe yet. She hasn't watched it yet.
No, I haven't.
So we'll come back and we'll talk to her after that and ask her about it.
Tell me off. No, the art. I'm familiar with the artwork, and the artwork's great. But yeah, it's probably because I haven't seen the animated series that I'm just meh at the moment. We'll talk quickly about Peacemaker. So I haven't written any notes for this, but I thought it looked quite funny. And I know you're going back to the whole, you're trying to make these characters funny, but I think if you didn't make Peacemaker funny, you couldn't put him on TV or in any sort of media, because he's well, I don't even know how to describe him. He's just crazy. But my favorite part of the whole trailer was where he's hugging a eagle, or the eagle's hugging him. That made me laugh. And he's like, Dad, quick, come take a picture. And his dad's not there. I thought, I don't know, I think it's going to be really good. I think I really enjoyed him in Suicide Squad. I thought, well, he was a bit of a brute, but he was hilarious at the same time, where he's sort of, in his little tighty whities, and, he's just funny. And I think I'm not a big, of the Rock pulls it off, but I'm not a big fan when sort of wrestlers come to be actors, and sometimes it just doesn't quite work. In like even Vin Diesel in the early days. Actually, I'm not a big fan of Vin Diesel anyway. So still, I know he's not a wrestler, but people like that, when they sort of come into acting and they're, they're kind of new to it. But I think John Cena, I know he's been in a few other things as well, but this is probably his best acting gig so far, and in Suicide Squad as well.
I think with John, like I know him, John.
Hey, John.
With John Cena, I think it's taken a bit of time to locate his place in Hollywood. The Rock has obviously, he started out doing, he's more of a straight actor, I feel like, whereas John is definitely going for the tongue-in-cheek kind of quirky kind of characters. I don't think it works for him when he does someone really sort of straight-laced, like in Fast 9 when he was, spoilers, Vin Diesel's brother.
I haven't seen it.
In it, he played it very serious, very straight. This is definitely John's wheelhouse, I think.
Yeah.
Playing the more quirky kind of off-the-wall kind of funny characters. He's a bit of a mix between like a Ryan Reynolds kind of character. He's a mix between Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds, really.
I think he's like a mix between Ryan Reynolds and Patrick Warburton.
Yeah. But this trailer was funny. It was very James Gunn. This was James Gunn all over it from start to finish. And I think they even said on the event that he's directing the majority of episodes.
Yeah. 5 out of the 8. He wrote all of them.
Jeremiah Bailey is back with, don't want to derail the conversation, that's fine, my man, but thoughts on the Gunn Suicide Squad. The film's comedy and violence were off-putting to me, but I enjoy Belko, etc. from Gunn. Cautious about Peacemaker.
I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad. I thought it was just wild. Like, James Gunn is really, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, he's really good at putting all these random characters together and just letting them do their thing and letting them sort of shine. And I think this was another case. Even the character, what was his name? The bus driver. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was tweeting about the bus driver. Milton. Everyone was tweeting about him after he'd been killed. He's literally in it for like 5 minutes. I have seen some deleted scenes of Harley Quinn, which I really wish would have been in the film, because I think it's just hilarious. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I particularly loved we haven't actually spoken about Suicide Squad, have we, yet on the podcast? No. But I particularly loved Bloodsport. I love him.
Great.
I know he's a Superman villain, but he just kind of stole my heart, where he sort of got all protective over Ratcatcher 2. And I don't know, I really liked that. And I loved Ratcatcher 2 as well. She was great.
Jeremiah, I'm with you. It wasn't, Suicide Squad wasn't my cup of tea. And like, for me, a lot of the jokes were like, I see that's supposed to be a joke. Like, I didn't laugh at them. I just, I just acknowledged that. Like, oh yes, I see what they're trying to do there. But yeah, there was a couple of highlights for me in the movie, like Starro. I'm so happy to see Starro and see him on the screen, and they did it just pitch perfect with him. But yeah, it's not my cup of tea, and I wasn't a fan of all the gratuitous language and over-the-top violence. That being said, I really enjoy some of the characters and the character portrayals. It's just it was too much for me. I didn't even finish watching it. I got about like 80% of the way through it. I'm like, I'm done.
Done.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. Unfortunately, that is my type of humor. You know, when sort of like Peacemaker and Bloodsport are like in the background and they're like, stop.
Yeah.
You know, that
stuff, sure. Yeah.
I liked the movie a hell of a lot. I watched it a bunch of times, actually. I'm not going to lie, with lots of different friends and whatnot. I had a great time with it. It had a very sort of unique identity to it, all of itself, like Guardians. It was DC's Guardians, you know, in terms of the quirky kind of soundtrack, characters, the action and whatnot. Jeremiah, in regards to cautious about Peacemaker, I won't worry about it, my man. I think that Peacemaker is going to be over there. It's going to be its own little thing, and I don't think it's going to affect too much of anything else. So I think it's definitely going to be polarizing, I think. I don't think it's going to be for everyone, but I think it's going to be just far enough away in its own pocket that it's not going to disrupt or disturb anything else happening. And I think if it's good, it's a bonus. If it's rubbish, I think we can just kind of like call it a day on that character. And if a new Suicide Squad movie does come out, change up the roster again.
Yeah, and I think in the trailer, the Peacemaker trailer, they were kind of pushing against the whole thing to make him sort of lovable. Do you know where she, I can't remember the name of the character, but she's basically says to him, she's like, if you're going to carry on the way you are, no one's going to like you. But if you start showing that little sort of taste of what you've been showing me, then, you know, people will start to like you. So I think it's going to be, I don't know, weirdly, I think it's going to be kind of like a heartwarming friendship story. But we'll see.
Great choice for his dad as well. T-1000. Yes. Great choice. I just think that's one of the things I wanted to just talk about really super quickly. The casts in these movies and these TV shows are getting better and better and better. I'm talking Helen Mirren in Shazam. I'm talking Paul Dano as the Riddler. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to steal the show because he's a tremendous young actor. He was phenomenal in Prisoners. And
that's probably why they're not really showing him that much as well. I think he's going to be really shocking. Yeah. Like, he's going to be really good as the Riddler.
Yeah. So they're bringing in the heavy hitters now. The comic book, I think we've been saying it for a long time now, but comic book movies aren't just niche anymore. They are mainstream and they are attracting all sorts of people. So I think we're in a golden age at the moment.
We sure are. Any other bits from DC FanDome that you want to bring up that I might have missed?
Oh,
I do. Can we talk about briefly the new Gotham Knights game?
Sure.
Yeah.
It looks great. Looks really good. And again, it's DC taking a little bit of a little something from the New 52. Obviously, Court of Owls was, Evan, you would say Court of Owls was one of the better things to come out of the New 52?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. All the Batman stuff was great, except for Death of the Family. I thought that was way too over the top, but everything else that came out of that, I thought was great.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the Court of Owls is something that's got legs and will continue on. And also one other thing, Todd McFarlane, the Todd father, he has unveiled a bunch of new action figures. from
Speaking of Court of Owls, I was trying to put it on, but I couldn't get it over my headphones.
Tom McFarlane has shown some new the Batman figures, and they look great.
Yeah.
I think there's one of the Riddler, there's one of Catwoman, 2 Batmans, Batman on his own and Batman with the bike.
This is going back to what Jeremiah was saying. There's too much. It was all Batman.
Yeah.
Where are the other? Where are the other characters?
This too. The Catwoman thing. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we've got 3. I was also going to say, I don't want to dominate everything, but 3 Batman Black Label titles as well at the moment, all running. So Batman Imposter. I think Jock has got a Batman title, and if I'm not mistaken, Cliff Chang has got a Catwoman Black Label series coming out as well. So a lot of Batman to come out.
Too much Batman. Not enough Superman. I think it's time to wrap things up. Yeah. First of all, thank you to our Patreons for supporting us. It means the world to us, as you know, as we keep going on about it every episode. It allows us to continue to spread the word about Superman, and of course, allows us to continue to do the podcast. Yeah. As I'm speaking, my chair is going down, so I'm getting smaller and smaller. So excuse that. A special shout out to the members of the House of Owl, David Beasley and Dave Owen. Thank you for your continued support as always. And if you want to find out more information about our Patreon subscription, there is a link in the description, or there will be shortly after this. To those of you taking part in the live stream, thanks so much for being here with us. I wasn't all for doing a live stream, I have to admit, to begin with, but now that people are sort of getting involved and commenting, it's really fun. It's great fun. So carry on doing that, and we'll keep announcing when we're going to do the next shows and things like that, so you can join us. And to those listening on Spotify or whatever with the podcast, thank you for taking the time, and we will see you next time for episode 23.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.